Well, I was born in Mass, in the kind of Apple area on 495. I guess that would be my first memory, just going to pick apples. My name is Andal Sundaramurthy. We are in Wilmot, New Hampshire, not Wilmot. Wilmot, you'll get made fun of. So when we moved up here when I was 10, I would come and visit my Aunt Kathy's farm, which when I was little was just kind of wild, and she had a lot of beagles. Remember that, dogs. But yeah, over the years she married a farmer and they got cows, and it was always a fun place to visit. And then my high school sweetheart had a farm down in Bradford, New Hampshire. And he definitely taught me the concept of work clothes. I didn't know that people had clothes just for work. So I definitely got the taste for it. And my first adult farm experience was as an apprentice in Maine at Darthia Farm. That was when I was 18, and I haven't stopped since. I've definitely been addicted. I've always liked really kind of quiet rural areas. We lived in a city a little bit when I was a kid, and I hated it. Something about my brain, I just get overwhelmed by too much activity. Yeah, and then up here I loved it. My sisters hated it. My two sisters said there's nothing to do. They got out of here as quick as they could, but I loved just how quiet it is in New Hampshire. And then I found that in farming, you could get the kind of same quietness. And I don't think there's a lot of careers that you can do that are socially acceptable where you can get that quiet. A lot of people have fishing cabins or hunting cabins, but I wouldn't be surprised if you filmed them, how many of them don't actually fish or hunt. They're just hanging out and being quiet, you know? I went to school to be a famous musician, and then again remembered that I don't like people. So I decided to give that up. And then I also worked at horse farms and had so much fun. But that is a young person's job. Most of the injuries I have are from horses, not farming. So I figured farming was the only thing that I could stand doing that I might be able to make enough money to live on. It was more of a everything else kind of stepped back. I don't know, this is a silly metaphor, but it's kind of like that person that has always been there for you and always been your friend, and you never really notice them, and then all of a sudden you realize, oh, that's the love of my life, you know? Like, that's a silly metaphor, but I feel like farming's like, okay, go ahead, go explore other things, I'll be here. And who knows, it might not work out. My motto is, there's a chance this might work. It's not likely, but it's possible. It's a very narrow path to success, and I never had any kids, so what else are you going to do with your time, you know? You got to do something. This is maybe the fifth farm startup, I'd like to say, that I've done. I've had a lot of failed startups. This one's going to work though. Nalla was my fictional name in my business course. You had to come up with a name for your farm. and it's simple. It's a two meaning. My sister used to call me that when The Lion King came out because my name is Andal, and I don't know, it's not super related, but it's also a Tamil word. My father is Tamil from Southeast India, and it just means good, which he says is kind of conceited because, oh, you're the good farm. And then I could just never come up with anything else. I don't know. It's hard to come up with a farm name, you know? Like, you want it to be interesting but not scary. Most people just think it's my name, which I've been called worse things, so I don't care. As long as they buy stuff, you call me whatever you want. Only if I really get to know them, I'll say, my name's actually Andal. So I just reintroduced myself to Susan, one of my lettuce customers. So now when she comes, she says, hi, Andal. Which now I feel guilty. I made her feel bad. I have kind of like wild, big dreams, like a farm empire. You know, there's like the extreme ends of what's the maximum I'd want to do. So the maximum is I'd like to build a big farm stand and have this be a really nice place to buy groceries for the summer. I want to be kind of a nice shop for people to, oh, let's go get some nice local eggs and milk and bread and maybe some cheeses, and oh, they've got some New England cuts of meat, and just a nice shop. I definitely do dream about renting a big field where you don't have to think of the value per square foot, because that's what I do right here. I have less than 1 acre of gardens, so every square foot has to pay, which is stressful because sometimes you end up messing yourself up because you're squishing it all in, and then all of a sudden your lettuce is in the shadow of a giant broccoli plant and does not thrive. So yeah, some room to spread out would be nice. And then on the smallest end, just keep doing what I'm doing, a one-person operation. Maybe I'll get a little travel trailer to crash in now and then, as long as I don't make the town angry. See how I feel. I just turned 40 this year, so. It's the downside of being poor is by the time you start your empire, you don't have quite as much energy as you did when you were 25. I think I decided I wanted to do this for a living when I was in my 20s, though, definitely. And then I signed the lease on this when I was 35, so it took me almost 10 years. If this is my forever farm, it took me about 10 years to get my forever farm. It's going to work. It's going to be great.